Perhaps best known for his role in the hugely popular TV quiz show The Chase, Paul Sinha is also a qualified doctor and comedian of many years standing. He's become a familiar face at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, and he'll be back on stage there again this August. He joined us in the studio to discuss the show and other aspects of his life. Paul, you're a man of so many talents. How do you see yourself?
As a man of so many talents, that was a big-headed way of doing it. But in essence, I'm defined by the tax man, really. And the only word I use is entertainer, which sounds very David Brentish, but it just covers the quizzing side and the comedy side. The comedy came first, I mean, by a long stretch. My first gig was in 1995, which I think is quite a long time before I've made my debut on The Chase in 2011. So the comedy was there for much longer than The Chase, but how I see myself now is someone that does both. I have no particular preference towards one or the other. I do like to stress to people I was a comedian for a lot longer than I was a chaser.
But you started off as a doctor, you're a trained GP. What was the route from that to comedy?
It wasn't an abrupt change. I was doing both for a long time. Between the years 2000 and 2007, I was both a locum GP and a professional stand-up comedian. And eventually one began to impinge on the other, and I had to make a choice for everybody's sake, really, for the patient's sake, for my comedy agent's sake. Everyone had decided you got to choose one over the other.
You're in Scotland to do some gigs at the moment, but you're coming back to Edinburgh in the summer for the Edinburgh Festival. Again, but you've been going for many years. What's the appeal? What draws you back every year?
Well, on the more obvious front, it's one of the world's biggest arts festivals, and so it's an amazingly good, fun month. But I am fundamentally, I must be an emotional masochist to keep coming back and doing the whole run rather than small runs. I always come and do every single night, other than the one night off in the middle. A lot of people come in and do a week here or a week there, but I'm very much, if you're not suffering, you're not doing Edinburgh properly. And so I'm there for the whole month. And
you know, what's your show all about this year?
It's really about nothing in particular this year, because I've spent years bringing big, dramatic, pathos-filled, joke-filled, autobiographical stuff. And I feel now it's time to move on and just concentrate on being funny. So it's going to be a mixture of jokes, stories, and songs. I've been doing musical numbers for the last couple of years, with mixed results, it has to be said, in terms of I'm not a very good singer, but I can write very good songs. So as long as you ignore the fact that I can't sing, it's fine. But I want to take myself less seriously, I think, is what this year's show is about. Because especially with everything that's been going on in my life in the last 20 years, it's been very much big, dramatic, funny stories. And I want to move slightly away from that and just towards just concentrating on being funny. Well,
big dramatic things indeed, and it was 4 years ago yesterday, wasn't it, that you were diagnosed with Parkinson's. I mean, how does that affect your day-to-day life now? And do you mention it at all in your comedy?
Do I mention it? I think it's hard not to mention it, because I think people need to know your life context when they're seeing you. And it's brought a new angle to my comedy since being diagnosed. Actually, this will be my third full-length show at the Edinburgh Festival since being diagnosed, so it hasn't stopped me doing comedy at all. Yes, you notice that you're a little bit slower or a little bit stiffer, and you have to remember to take your medication all the time, and you notice a decline, but inside is a big fire burning, going, fight the decline, fight the dying of the light, try and be as funny as you can for as long as you can. And so they've taken on an opponent with me, Parkinson's disease, and I'm enjoying the fight.
Do you think about the future much? And
I try not to. I try and embrace the present. As far as I'm concerned, enjoy your life and embrace life as much as possible, because nobody knows what's around the corner. I don't think I'm special because I've got Parkinson's. I think especially since the pandemic, everyone has become aware of the both mental and physical health problems that we all face. And you know, social media is filled with personal misery and stories of loss and bereavement and illness and poor health. I'm not alone in that, but perhaps I'm in a unique position to try and bring levity and lightness to it, but try to be as funny and as positive as possible.
Yeah, and you said in a tweet recently, life has handed me a chance to be a spokesperson, and I'm happy to continue in this vein. I mean, how much responsibility do you feel communicating about Parkinson's?
I don't feel any responsibility. I've chosen to be a spokesperson. I think that you know, it's not for everybody. If some people want to take their health to a more private place, I think that's entirely their choice. What I'd chosen to do is, because I'm in light entertainment in terms of the chase, you know, the chase is much lighter than my comedy career in many ways. I have an opportunity, a unique opportunity to impart awareness of what having Parkinson's means. And I think that it adds an edge to my comedy, it adds an edge to my TV persona, and I'm prepared to be in the centre of the discussion about it. But it's not for everybody.
Do you think people are more informed about the disease now? I mean, people like you are talking about it very publicly. Billy Connolly's got it, Michael J. Fox in America. I mean, do you think people know more about it now?
It's really hard to say. I think the great myth of Parkinson's is that there's one way to have Parkinson's. The big stereotype is that you shake, that you have a tremor. You know, if I put my hands out like that, you'll see that I hardly shake at all. Mm-hmm. For me, it's about stiffness and slowness of movement, or side effects to medication. So everybody's experience of Parkinson's disease is different. And I think that's probably the one thing that people aren't necessarily that aware of, that it presents in different ways. So in that sense, I'd like to impart more awareness that you might not even know that someone has Parkinson's by looking at them, but they do.
We know you're on the chase. You became a household name, being a quizzer in that. What's the appeal about quizzing? And you were saying to me earlier that you're into all that from when you were a wee boy.
Yeah, I was always into quizzing. I was known as the quizzing guy when I was from the age of about 9 or 10. I mean, I ruined people's experience of Trivial Pursuit all through the 1980s. And through the 1990s at medical school, I was the kid that stood watching 15-1 on the telly on Channel 4 and just answered question after question. And then eventually I became aware that there were other people much, much better than me at it. And there was a whole Fight Club-style underworld of mysterious quiz competitions and matches and contests. And I wanted to be part of that world and get better. And luckily for me, I got better really quickly, so that within 3 years of joining this world, I got my job on the chase. So it's all kind of worked out for me, but it's very much, I kind of see it as a nerd's version of five-a-side football or village cricket. It's the wish to be vaguely competitive and to really enjoy something when you're not good at sport. Fantastic.
I love the idea of the Fight Club. That's brilliant. Well, listen, good luck with the festival, and thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Rona.